Oh shit, here we go again.
Mic test 1 2 1 2. Mic test 1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
What up, y'all? It's another episode of Tight Beat, live from outer space and unapologetic studio. My name is I Make Mad Beats, and I'm here with an interesting cast today. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Yo, LJ1S.
C Major.
Unique, period.
Ish Music.
Kid Maestro. Bruh, let's start it off. We got a guest in the building.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We got a guest in the building.
Period.
All right, one more time for the people. What's your name?
Walter Person. I go by Ish Music.
It's music, man. All right, man. So tell us about yourself. What do you do on a normal day-to-day basis?
Sit in the studio all day and play with music.
Okay.
Facts.
Straight like that.
Where you normally do that? You got a
Yeah, I got a studio here in town, Sunstorm Studio, over in Midtown.
Midtown. Bet. I gotta come by there. I feel like we met at the Crosstown.
Yeah, it's Crosstown.
The Crosstown John. I still haven't been able to get up there, man. I gotta come up there and check it out, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, man, what are some of the projects you're excited about that you've worked on that you are working on?
Yeah, well, I got a few things happening. Most recently, we did, the Break It Down campaign with the Memphis Police Department. So that was pretty big.
So what's that? What is it?
So they were doing a campaign trying to get people to slow down. You know, people speeding up and down the expressway all through the streets, and so they would like break it down. You know,
Mustangs and challenges.
yeah, charges, all that type of stuff, right? So they just wanted to do a campaign to kind of encourage people to slow down, drive a little bit, less reckless. And so we put a song together, and they did billboards, campaigns, commercials out there for us. So it was pretty cool.
That's hard, man.
Shout out to my guy Chug Jamal's featured artist on there.
Were you also behind the ones that they was doing about like donuts?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Relevant to Memphis
Yeah.
police commercial
Right.
I ever seen.
Yeah, they were like, if you want to do donuts, go to Krispy Kreme, right? Absolutely.
That's great. We traced it.
Y'all some detectives.
I know, right? Straight
Bro,
to
that
it.
is the most. Like, I don't think I've ever paid attention to anything MPD has
That's what's
ever
up.
put out except that commercial.
That's what's up.
Because of the music, and then the commercial itself is funny because they got the one woman like, you need to stop doing this, and then the Shelby County dude, is like, we gonna take your car.
Right. Yeah, he was real aggressive with it. Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
congrats on that, man.
Thank
That's
you,
a
thank
very
you.
dope campaign.
Absolutely.
And something I think needs to happen. Y'all be doing them donuts at the corner of Winchester and Riverdale.
Oh yeah, every corner, right? Every corner. Yeah, no, that's a notorious intersection.
No more
right there.
certain corners.
Hey, wherever y'all want, it's cool with me. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke with the young nigga. Do you know that? I also bumped the song too.
But, you know, what's interesting about that specific corner where they be doing that at, the police be parked right there.
Right there.
At
Right.
the Walgreens, like,
different now.
watch it. I'll be like, all right, clearly
That's-
they got some sort of permit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they be in the middle of the street, folks, just like traffic. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, clearly they got the same shit.
Nah, bro. I knew it was different when I seen them on the expressway. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Donuts on the expressway?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, they'll block it off.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll block it off.
This y'all shit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's somebody you don't mess with because
Yeah,
clearly do not care.
Clearly, that's
Right.
clearly. That's
Yeah,
clearly. I
absolutely.
got it, bro. I'm just gonna take this
That's
as it.
hilarious.
If you're doing that on the expressway, you got it. If you're Riverdale and Winchester, just chill out.
Hey, yo. Walter,
Yes, sir.
tell me about Sunstorm, man. Like there's a history to that place, right?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it, man. Tell me
All
about
right.
it.
Well, I started at the very beginning. So my father he was a musician, percussionist here in town, and so he played on. He was a percussionist on Stax, so he did a lot of work with Stax. He did a lot of work with the Memphis Symphony Orchestra, different bands and stuff around town. So he would take us to used to be Cotton Row back then when Nico Lears was the owner, and so he would take us to his sessions in. So we were running around as kids in the studio, not knowing that 20, 30 years I'd be owning the place, and so. From there, once we started kind of
Hold on,
doing,
pause. Clap it up, man.
Okay.
That's great. Clapping it up.
Absolutely. And so from there, once I started kind of doing my own music, we used to rap, produce all that stuff. Me and my brother, we actually went to Cotton Row to do some recording with Nico, and a few years after that, I got into University of Memphis. I was doing a recording technology program, and I needed to do an internship. And so I was like, Nico, I need to do an internship. He was like, cool, come on, because I was already kind of hanging around the studio anyway. Yeah. And so just spending time there doing sessions, back then, Ball and G, 3-6, Skinny, Squeaky, all of those guys were in the studio. And so Tommy Wright, so I was hanging around with Al Capone. I mean, the list goes on and on. I was hanging around in the studio, kind of interning, cleaning up after their sessions. So, I would had to clean up all the beer bottles, ashtrays, take out the trash. Back then, the phone, the landline would ring. I had to answer the phone, you know what I'm saying, go get lunch, all that type of shit. So kind of paying my dues that way. And then I always had my own studio kind of around town. And once I established actual Sunstorm studio in 2013. I was still doing some freelance work at Cotton Row, but once Nico got ready to move back to Greece about 3 or 4 years ago, he just put the play. He was selling it, and I had no intentions on buying it. I was doing my own thing, but it just kind of worked out. I was led that way, everything lined up, and so I've been there since 2021.
Man, I want to talk specifically about something you said. How important do you think those early paying your dues moment were?
Hey, hold on, time out. Shout out my GC, man. Because anytime we get a chance to you know exactly why we got to harp on this.
Yeah, I was going to go back to it anyway.
Okay,
Thank
right,
you.
Let's do it.
Because I've had interns or people kind of coming around the studio. I told a story the other day. I had a guy, and I was cleaning up. I was vacuuming. And all I asked him to do was, I had a session coming in. I was going to set the mic up. I said, man, just finish, vacuuming this little spot for me. And he looked at me like I cussed him out or like I said something crazy. And I was like, but you here trying to get in, pay dues. So this generation is totally fucked up. They don't understand paying your dues.
Music, keeping it real.
Nah, they don't understand paying your dues and doing the dirty work. Like I said, I was happy to come in and do those things because now I'm in the studio. I'm here all day. For free. And when Nico leaves, he's gonna let me get in and do my stuff or play around with the equipment. So I was like, I don't understand the people these days. They don't want to take advantage of those opportunities. So yeah, thank you for asking that question for sure.
It's different. Like being that I'm over the internship here, it was new to me. Just seeing the I want to say entitlement.
Absolutely.
We were interviewing. Well, I was interviewing one person, and this man legit thought soon as if he got accepted, he just gonna come in and start running sessions. I'm like, bro, you don't even
right.
You don't. And I asked him about compression. He didn't have any idea of any of this stuff. And I'm like, how you gonna? Yeah. But that's how they feel.
Right.
And then they
they getting bold too.
I won't say names, but our recent internships, it was those type of situations.
Yeah.
They wanted to be a certain thing, so it was okay, do you trust us to lead you in that direction? You came here for a reason,
right?
So we put you in a position, but it's up to you to see the value in that, to figure out how that works for you.
Absolutely. Do you trust us to lead you in a direction, but also do you trust yourself to get what you need out of it? And I think that's the most important part of it. People be thinking you sweeping floors and vacuuming, and if that's all you're doing, then yeah, you should be mad. Right. But if you're not sweeping floors and vacuuming and then peeking over the shoulder and just looking at that's it.
Because I learned everything, I won't say everything, but most of the stuff I learned from sitting there looking over Nico's shoulder. You know what I'm saying? You can watch all the videos, you can do all the stuff, but being there, being able to look over somebody's shoulder while they're doing it, see what they're pushing, why they pushed the button in that situation, why they did this. That's invaluable. So just to be in the room, that's crazy.
Bro, I had to switch this up. Put the camera on. It was on y'all the whole time. I had to put it on me for a second because I think it is impossible to have been around me without having heard me say the exact same thing, right? So I never even went to audio school. I never went to any of this. The only way I learned, I tell people all the time, I had how long? I don't even know how long my internship was at Quad. But I'll tell you this. My entire internship at Quad, no one ever said, hey, bro, let me show you something. That never happened. Not one time, right? The last time I had a teacher was in college, and it was for computer science. No, after that, the way I had to learn was through observation. What C Major said is absolutely true, right? If all you get out of moving this can is that you move this can, well, then maybe, I would honestly say, I'll go as far as to say this. Because I think engineering, production, most of the music industry, or a lot of the music industry that we get a lot of people want to be a part of, these are versions of entrepreneurism, right? So, like, you have to have an entrepreneur mind, right? Which means that, like, you have to know you're not going to be taught, right, everything. You're going to have to observe and learn on your own. You're going to have to learn how to learn. You're going to have to learn how to teach yourself. You're going to have to learn how to accept evidence as information, right? Proximity as an opportunity, right? And so I would dare say, hey, you know, not only would this not be for you if being in the room is not enough, I would say being any version of entrepreneur, you shouldn't. I think you should just, you know, skip that and just go try something else. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean that, like, if you're not willing to take on the challenge of it not being easy, I mean, that is,
That's right.
like, there's no way to do entrepreneurship without that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's real.
That's a fact.
100%.
Plus, it's like there's just like an internal level of curiosity that'll just drive you to be. Like, you won't even really notice that you sweeping the floor.
Right.
You'd be
Yeah.
like,
I don't remember none of that.
you would just be like, all right, what, you know what I'm saying? You just, I don't know, there's like a laser focus and like trying to figure it out, you know? And, you know, I've interned multiple places, and you're absolutely right. Everything isn't explained to you, but you do a good enough job. Conversation open up. You might get that chance to answer, you know, say, all right, let's get lunch. And then boom, that's the opportunity you'd have been sweeping floors for it's you ready. You know what I'm saying? And then if you was doing your thing, you would have you wouldn't be starting from ground zero, because you can ask informed questions. Yo, I observed you doing this. Every time you do this, why? You know what I'm saying? Like,
and then
versus
that's
like
when the person look at you and be like,
Okay.
Exactly. That's it. No, that's
absolutely.
good.
So I do have one more question though. Like, so you were there, and you mentioned like all these Memphis legends, 3-6, Tommy Wright, you know, all those guys, and you were around while they were working. My question is, like, so, you know, Mad often talks about his experience working with artists at Quad, and so what I'm curious about is, like, have you observed any like sort of like culture or work ethic or habits that those guys had in the studio back then that you think, like, have you observed a change that you feel like is a difference between artists then, those artists in the studio that you see, and the artists now that you see in the studio? Any similarities or differences that you
Yeah, I think a lot of the differences are just in the preparation, like coming into the studio. I think back then, you know, of course, people were writing their raps down. They kind of had an idea how the song was going to go. A lot of times these days, people just come in and they kind of just winging it off the top. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't like doing as much engineering anymore, is because artists these days, they, you know, it's just you just punching in all the time, you know. And I'm more on the mixing and post production side now, so I kind of stay away from that. But getting back to the question, I just think it's just the artistry level was different. I think they were really trying to be artists. They were really trying to do something groundbreaking. I think artists these days, they just kind of find a wave and kind of ride it and chase certain things, kind of chase somebody else's sound instead of establishing their own sound. So different things like that are things that I really pick up on, between artists then and now.
Real quick, shout out everybody in the chat, everybody watching, everybody checking it out. One more time, this is out of, I'm sorry, this is on the, this is Tech Peak, live from outer space in Unapologetic Studio. We got my man Walter Person, a.k.a. Ish Music here, live with us. We just said, fuck all the topics. We just gonna talk about some real shit.
Right.
Bro.
We might get to the topics if a good enough segue happens, but right now we don't really give a damn. If you out there and you want to drop a comment, all comments will be respected. You will be a part of the conversation. We will prioritize you as being a part of this conversation. So yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.
Bro.
Yeah. I'm curious. I just want to ask this one thing, because one thing I think was very specifically unique about Mad, when you would talk about the artists that would come through Quad, and that they would they wouldn't be engineers, but they would know their vocal chain. They would know how things are supposed to sound and a way to get there. Is it the same? We're working with Tommy Wright 3-6. Now, did they come in with like a sort of engineering kind of mindset, or is that like?
So I think more of the more established artists that have been around in different studios that kind of have a set sound already. They'll definitely be like, hey, put the, like A-Ball, he always said, like, put this certain delay on my vocal because I like the way it gives it a hop, you know what I'm saying? Or a person that might be real loud or aggressive, they're like, make sure we don't lose that aggression in what I'm doing, So certain artists that have an established sound already, they might ask for specific things, but if they don't have a specific sound, they just want to see the sound right.
Yeah, I'm just always curious about that because I don't think I've ever really experienced that yet, where an artist came in and
know what they want.
And just know. And be like,
and nowadays, the artists have been engineers part of their whole life anyway, so they've been engineering, they've been producing. It's back then, you had everybody had a different hat, but like everybody, you wearing the one person's wearing 10 hats these days. So
I think today's version of that though is I have very commonly actually seen artists come in the studio and know the exact auto-tune settings.
They'll
tell you which one to pull up. Nah, don't use effects, bro. Pull up this one, like
even to the point of take this note out because it's gonna be
absolutely
right.
Absolutely.
Another auto-tune today, compressor.
Nah, but yeah, we gonna get to the topic of some more. But also, Ish, you said something else too that made me think of a topic that I meant to bring up. Ferg, I'm gonna go through this really quick. Ferg was talking to somebody. ASAP Ferg, he was talking to somebody about a pet peeve in the studio, and one of his pet peeves was he's like, when the engineer not locked in with me, I be going, and I be like, go. And then he brought up Future. He's like, I seen some shit with Future and his engineer where Future just be mumbling words, and he might say one actual word, and then the engineer take that word and store it, and then he'll do it again and store it. And that made me think, like, bro, I would hate, like the nigga good. Like, I feel like engineers done got too, and we babying niggas. Like, that was crazy to me. And I done seen Future's engineer. I done seen Thug's engineer. What's Thug's engineer? Alex Toomey. I done seen Thug engineer do a session where he does the exact same thing. Where he's insane. It's insane, but also it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like the punching is, like, I feel like we get way too crazy.
And I think it's wild to, like, the amount of work that engineers really put in versus, I guess, the respect that's,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Niggas
not
get treated
evil,
like,
bro.
niggas not be getting paid for this, niggas be getting treated like.
Nah, they be really be shitting on the engineers. They be
It's
shitting on the
wild.
engineers.
You remove the engineer, bro.
It's nothing, right? It's nothing.
Done.
Damn. Shout out to the engineer.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I just really thought about like what that would be like.
For real.
And then they just, after they do all that mumbling, they just leave. And
Right.
And expect you to have a full and be mad when you don't catch a word and shit. Like, what, nigga, what are we doing?
And don't let you be the studio owner. Now I got to clean up this shit after you gone too. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Smoked 60 blunts in the studio, wasted 6 cups of lean.
Come on.
Hey,
That's real.
artists out there, we not that mad at you.
Right. We're not there. Absolutely. Still come see us, right?
I may not be got
Right, exactly.
Please book the studio.
That's real.
Grace was coming prepared.
We complain a little bit too hard.
Right, yeah, no, we are.
You gotta bounce it out, you know?
Absolutely.
That's real.
All right, well, We done with
Man,
it.
this, come on, man.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, bro, that was a terrible transition.
It was.
I was
I
gonna
thought
say
we
speaking of lean, but speaking of lean,
I thought you was going, man. All right, speaking of lean, like what you do? Man, crazy topic, but should venues, all right, hold on. Should venues be able to decline you based on health concerns? Okay. All right.
Hell
Based on health concerns.
If they
Hell
feel that, maybe you don't align with their brand, or if they don't feel you're going to put on a good show, or whatever the case may be, is that their right as a business owner? Like,
Right.
or is it their responsibility?
Yeah, there you go. It's a better word. They definitely got the right to say no to whatever they want to say no to. Right?
okay. Yeah.
So I think we're talking ethics, morals, responsibilities.
All right, so just for some context, again, I don't know homie's situation. I don't know his health issues or whatever. But it's a viral clip going around of Dave Blunt, and he's performing, but he's sitting down on the couch, and he has oxygen tank and stuff like that.
The goal at the end of this podcast is for Dave Blunt to say fuck LJ, because LJ is not fucking with bro at all. He already got Snoop Dogg, so let's see what we can get him next show to say.
That's cool.
Shout out if you do that.
That's
shout
it.
out.
That's it. As long as you do that.
What is that?
It ain't focused, but y'all get the gist.
Fuck him, because I heard the nigga was keeping it.
So, yeah. Shout out to
Yeah, man. I ain't no issue. It was just a thought. It was just a should that be a concern?
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Hold on. But before you answer,
Okay.
not as a person,
Yeah.
not as hop out of yourself.
Okay.
Right? Own a piece of
business.
property. Exactly. Own a
Right.
business
Right.
that needs to make money.
Right.
Right? And I think what the real question is how involved are you
Okay.
in what happens in this space? How do you balance that with the need to make money, commerce, and revenue? Right? So don't think about it solely like, bro, I need to go to the hospital. Think about it more so from the fact that you run a business and you do have to create a mission statement.
That's right.
And some guidelines on what you accept and what you won't
Okay.
accept.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
That was my initially when I was saying it, I was like, bro, what the fuck? But I had to again wonder why I felt that way, and then I started thinking about it like, okay, if I owned a business or whatever, how would I feel about this? Because again, and I feel like that's where we're at now, where businesses, labels, whatever, they look at the following and all this stuff because that plays a part into it. And if the goal is to make money from a venue perspective, are you declining it if the brand is strong enough? What are you valuing in those moments
Real
to make
quick.
that decision?
Roma Penguin, what up? Chiming in with us. The otaku, I can never say this right. The otaku sauce. Oh dear, y'all got Unique started and I just got here. Unique about to turn up, man.
What up, man?
Let's get it. My bad, y'all go ahead.
I feel like again, brand is important. If you run there are organizations that put on shows that are literally there's a band, but it's like a fitness instructor done, and they're leading workouts, but it's on a Rolling Loud type stage. You know what I'm saying? That's a very specific brand that pays a particular attention to health. And I don't think that a Dave Blunt's performance in that setting is appropriate. That feels that makes a lot of sense, right? But where that was a Rolling Loud, where our brand, their brand is to get the biggest artists from all genres and put on a show of what people want to hear. You know what I mean? I just think that those things have to be defined from the start, right? And not just these sort of ambiguous case by case basis. I feel like if for a business to be able to operate sustainably in that way, you got to define those things from the beginning. And maybe something happens like a court case, whatever, where you got to redefine it, but it has to be you have to basically answer that question already. What are the requirements for an artist to come on our stage, right? They have to, and if you do that, then that means the mission for it to be legit has to be all encompassing. And so when we look at a guy like Dave Blunts, who's clearly overweight, you know what I'm saying, clearly wouldn't be able to give a full performance standing, is that a hindrance to the level of performance that we hold our venue to?
Right.
Okay, so what is that level? You have to move this across the stage. You have to be standing. You can't be sitting on a stool. What if it was Sabrina Carpenter and she sits down on the stool the whole time and just sings? What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm cool with it as long as it's defined. But when you start getting into case by case kind of situations, like then it just, I don't know. That feels like a weak brand. I don't think that business would sustain. You know what I'm saying? If they approached, everything like that.
It's the oxygen tank for me. Like, god damn, fam.
Bruh, people.
I feel you, but remember.
I understand. And the more and more y'all break it down, it's making me realize, okay, from a business standpoint, like I would look into those things. Yeah. And you're right, kid. Like, what if it was, Sabrina sitting on the stool? It's the same thing. She's just not the same, image as, David Blunt. And I guess I am speaking from a biased standpoint of view, but I do understand the reality of the legality of of the situation. But they need to have some kind of like liability clause or something, like, we are not responsible if this man breaks our state. Or you know what I'm saying? Oh, we gotta carry this motherfucker out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, who gonna cover us? You know what I'm saying?
Who gonna?
Like,
well, I think they do that, don't they?
I'm just saying there needs to be and it depends on the venue.
I feel like
help me.
I'm not helping you at all, please. I feel like
so hard to have to laugh too.
Yo, it's
Big shout out Infinity. Big shout out Corey Owens. What up, homie?
I feel like you really gotta define health and understand.
We health genre.
We done seen. I feel like if you start getting into that, then who finna be on your stage? You dealing with the music industry, which is one of the most unhealthiest. We had Amy Winehouse on stage, fucked out of her mind, scratching herself, and like shit. Like I feel like shit like that more than Dave should not be allowed. Somebody should have been like, hey, not tonight. Like listen to these folks home. Like her last shows were some of the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life. Like I want to cry watching that shit. Like I feel like. I feel like you can't either you can do that and then have a brand but who's on your stage then? Like who you
So Coach Austin, let me ask you this, just from a business owner perspective. So say you got a spot and Amy Winehouse is performing and it's packed out and you got people trying to get in and she fucked up backstage, are you gonna say no or are you gonna say come on, let's go ahead and do it?
I honestly feel like of course it would be different if I'm actually in this situation tonight, because you're going to have to get that money back. You're going to have to send these folks on. But I honestly feel like I would, bro. Like, seeing her, like, I probably wouldn't. Honestly, I probably wouldn't put myself in that position in the first place, because you do your history and your research on the people that you're bringing into your own. That's probably what I would honestly do. But if I was in that situation, bro, I don't know how many of y'all seen her last shows, but that shit was scary, bro. Like I would honestly be like, nah, these folks gotta go home.
I was more so upset at the people that booked the event, and you know what I'm saying, like he just said, didn't do their research on this person and see where her present conditions were.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure that's a pretty predatory industry too. They probably did.
Yeah,
real quick.
Like that was fucked up. You know,
I gotta get these comments in. Y'all gotta let me get these comments in. People be chiming in, man. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Infinity. She says this is a great topic. Y'all are making some good points. If there's smoking allowed, his tank wouldn't be an issue, would it? She also says true. Not exactly sure what that is responding to. I think we got a question from the previous segment, which I was going to see if you guys wanted to tackle it real quick. If not, it's all good. But Abel, I don't know if y'all know Abel.
What up, Abel?
Yeah. Abel asked a really good question. She said, for artists coming into studio sessions, working with other folks, what do you think are the expectations from an engineer? How can one tell a bad experience from a good one? It's a good question. Great question. That's why I had to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What would y'all say?
I would say, so it's a good experience for the engineer, or are we talking about the experience for?
I would imagine for the artist.
For the artist, right? Okay. So I think the artist should definitely come in with an open mind, and a lot of times I think when the key point that kind of kills the creativity if an artist kind of shuts down, or if an idea that they threw out might not be accepted. I think don't kind of get in your feelings about it in the creative process. Like, be open to everything that's happening. Let it take shape organically. That's speaking from the creative aspect. Now, as far as just being prepared as an artist, I mean, if it's just a create session, that's cool. Come in with that vibe. But if you come in to, knock some work out, like, know what we're doing, have the tracks already together, have, your lyrics or parts together or whatever, kind of at least give the engineer a direction where you're trying to get. And then that way I know which way I need to steer the ship, or I know how to quarterback this thing if I know what your expectations are at the end. So kind of being, just being vocal about it, being open. Don't just come in and expect me to read your mind and know what's happening. Like, express yourself and let's get to that point together.
What do you think is like the baseline, like what an artist should expect from an engineer that would say, okay, this is a good engineer, right? Like what would you say a good engineer does, no matter what? Like you can. Yeah,
a good engineer is going to allow you to do what you're trying to do. Like, so I'm going to take my producer hat off. You know what I'm saying? Unless you hire me to be the producer. Like I'm not going to be like, hey, you should try this different. Let's do this. Go do it again. Unless I'm in that role. If I'm the engineer, I'm just recording. I'm gonna try to get the best recording of what you're trying to do. But if you want my input, or we in that situation, then I might say, hey, let's try that again, or let's do this again, or I'm gonna keep this one, hit it again. I feel like you can do it again.
I'm gonna add a little bit of nuance to this and just say, just from what Walter's just saying, I think it does help when artists walk into the studio and know the difference between an engineer and a producer.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and know when an engineer is just being an engineer and trying to decide whether or not he should be engineer and producer. And if he does decide that is a plus.
Yes.
That is not streamline his job.
Yeah.
An engineer is supposed to be an engineer. An engineer is not necessarily supposed to help you choose notes, help you figure out a chord progression, help you out. Those are things producers do, and it helps everyone.
Yeah.
Right? If you at least understand the roles. Now, an engineer might do more than that,
That's right.
but at that moment, you should be grateful.
Yes.
Right,
You should realize you chose
right.
somebody with multiple talents.
Right.
Right? That this
Right.
person is playing multiple roles. All of that is not included in one role.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna talk about that because I feel like when people book with us, because all of our engineers are also producers, like that's something we have an ability to do well, and I find that that's something that artists like appreciate. You know what I'm saying? But just not understanding that that's on top of the job of getting a great recording. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Capturing the job. But in terms of something I think that artists should expect from a good engineer, I feel like the engineer, like when you come into a studio, whether that be prior, like in your in the booking process, or when you get there, I feel like an engineer should always be checking in and have some level of conversation with you about what you want this thing to sound like. Like what do you want this to turn out to be? Because like that, even if you don't know, that shows a intention behind you being happy with the product versus just me being
I'm
happy.
gonna do what I know to do.
Me as an engineer. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If you're the client, like you want somebody that has a service, that is service minded, that is there to serve
Right,
you,
right,
you.
right.
And little things like that, like just checking in, you know what I'm saying, asking you, like, do you need some water? You know, just those kinds of courtesies shows like the attention they have on making sure that you have a great session.
That's
And I
right.
think
The
that's an indicator
experience.
of a good engineer.
The experience. I agree with that. I think that's one of the first things, especially if the engineer has the time. I feel like it's up to both artists to the artist and the engineer to do the research of each other, because especially if it's a new relationship, you've never worked with this engineer before, you never worked with this artist, in order to make sure you're not wasting time. Because again, if this artist is paying you, I know for me, I try to check in, especially if I don't know the artist. I try to check in with them some way, somehow, just to see what their idea of this session is before we have the session. I try to check in to see if they require certain, fruits or whatever refreshments for the session, because all of that matters. Like, if you can't come in and be yourself, like, we lost. Right. I feel like that's the goal. As an engineer, my job is to get the best out of you, for the idea of whatever you're trying to do. Whatever your idea of this finished product is up to me to navigate this experience to make sure we get that. And I think those things matter on the front end of just making sure that the artist is comfortable enough to let down those guards, especially if you haven't worked with each other. Like, because sometimes it can take a little while for the artist to warm up and get comfortable with you. So that's why I like to start that approach before the session. We already have some type of introduction with each other. We know what's going on, and we can just pick up from where we left off versus trying to figure it out right there. Because I think, for me, just from my experience as an engineer, now if we had a good conversation and it's taking up so much time, now I'm trying to rush because we only have a limited amount of time that you booked for. So yeah, I think the front end, the introduction, I feel like that's one of the most important parts of before you even start that session.
I definitely feel. Oh, no, I was gonna say.
Marty says she agrees with you, LJ.
I definitely feel that post session things should be organized and everything to where it's a way it makes it easier for everybody to get the session done in an efficient way and timely. I also feel like the engineer, when we're speaking of solely engineer, the engineer's job is to create the experience that that you've previously told them that you want to make, or if you don't know, they have to figure it out themselves. But I think that's solely their job right there. They don't have any other branches around them. It's just the engineer. But there's also other branches inside of the engineer, like as specifically an engineer, like how many hats do you how many hats do you wear in that specific lane at Sun Studios?
For me, on a given day, I wear all of them.
Period.
I got all of them on. And again, depending on the artist or the session, I can kind of say, okay, I can take this hat off because they good on that, or we got their part, or I might have to put another one on because I see in order for us to get to the finish line, I'm going to have to kind of lead them to this part as well, And I think, too, just I tell people all the time, one of the biggest things about being an engineer or working with creative people is it's not just about the creativity. You're a psychologist as well. Like, you dealing with people's their feelings, their emotions, whatever they were dealing with before they came to the studio, what they thinking about while they're there, what they got to deal with when they leave. So being able to hear if you're trying to do the vocal and you're not hitting it, but I know you just had an argument with somebody. It's like, okay, I might say, well, let's take a break, or let's work on this song. Let's use that energy for this record because I know it'll be great for this record. Let's get to this soft stuff when you back in that mode. So just being able to kind of tell where people are in their mindset. You know what I'm saying?
He said, let's get back to this soft stuff. Back in that mode.
Real quick, man. Let me acknowledge. Super says, as an artist, connecting with the engineer is a priority for me. Being able to keep a line of communication during the session is key for me. Abel says, thank y'all for the answers. Of course, Abel. Of course.
Sure, for sure.
Corey Owens has probably what is the longest comment in Type Beat history. He says, if an engineer is consulting the artist, especially one who is a frequent client, and being transparent about their intentions for the artist versus what is expected of the engineer, that's a good basis in my opinion. This can be a hard subject to talk about because some engineers and artists don't have the social intelligence to know when to add or offer guidance or leadership and consultation, because some artists aren't there to get the same outcome you're looking to create based on how you want your work to be presented as the engineer.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's like control and vision dynamics, and just knowing when you are of service, and knowing when being of service means to take a little bit more control than not take control, right? But all of that, to me, gauging that and then knowing where to stand on that spectrum is a part of being an engineer. For me, I think, okay, when I think about what is a good experience with an engineer, for me, before I twist any knob, before I turn on any device, I find it incredibly valuable to somehow inform the artist. You don't have to be an engineer. What I mean by that is like it's actually my job as the engineer to know the person walking in doesn't know all of this stuff that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But I need to know how to talk to them so that they can help me do what they need to happen. And I need to be able to speak artist talk, right? They don't have to speak engineer talk. It's like going to the doctor, right? I don't need to know about, how, ligaments reform. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need to walk in there limping, and the doctor needs to be able to ask me some questions, or come down to my level, and then determine what needs to be done for me, right? And a doctor's ability to do that will change how confident you are in that doctor, right? And so I feel like it starts there, and that kind of fits in the same glove of what Walter was saying about about the psychological aspects of being an engineer, and how much, again, it's not as, I mean, I don't know, man. For me, I think half the job is psychological. You know what I'm saying? Half the job is interpersonal. It is helping people be comfortable, be confident.
Yeah, not being a dick.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's go to what Corey said, right? Like, it is like, and I've seen that. I've seen a lot of people take positions in various fields of work. They take certain positions really as a way to maintain control, not necessarily to deliver the greatest product or output, right? And yeah, I'm not gonna. We was semi shitting on wild artists earlier. I'll semi shit on engineers right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are definitely a lot of people in these positions who are just insecure. In some way, little man syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Just keeping it all the way live. I've seen it too many times. You know what I'm saying? And they just love to be in a position where they feel like, nah, young blood, you need to listen to what I'm saying, or blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And that's a real thing. That happens. I'm not going to act like that doesn't happen. I've seen it happen, And in that case, right, when you feel like there's an overbearing level of controlling and not even a trying of your vision, that would be evidence of a bad experience. Yeah. Right? Because that's one thing I live by. You know what I'm saying? Like, an artist can tell me to try something. I might think it's a terrible idea. But I'm going to try it. Right. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to add whatever expertise I know so that your idea can have the greatest chance to be a great idea.
That's right.
Right? And then I'll just play it back for you. I'll let you be the guy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to try it. I'm not going to, nah, Brad, you shouldn't do that. Nah, what are we doing here? This is your space to explore your creativity. That's right. And there's a key word in that, and that's explore. Right? It doesn't mean you get everything right, but you need to try shit out. Right? In a comfortable scenario where there's somebody there that can help you try this shit out. You know what I'm saying? Just like interning. I tell every intern, interning is not necessarily to do this. It is to also figure out if this is what you want to do.
That's right.
And I feel like engineers should also give that room and space to artists.
I think in terms of like being prepared too as an artist, that the other part of that conversation, is just understanding like, because I know a lot of artists, it'd be like their first session, and of course, like booking studio time costs money, so you want to try to manage your resources. But I do think that if there's one thing that can help you be prepared in terms of managing expectations, is that typically, like, if you're trying to leave the session with something that you can immediately release, the engineer most likely isn't excited about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's usually,
that's facts.
It's usually
big facts.
It's usually like what you're gonna get at the end of that session is subpar to what that engineer is capable of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most like, especially one that is a good engineer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they damn near might not even let you do it just to protect their brand. But like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times just the terms of producer, engineer, mixing and mastering, all of these things have just kind of gotten construed and mixed up all over the years. And so it is important. Like if you book a 2-hour session to come in and record a song that you want to drop later.
People be ready.
Yeah.
They got DistroKid loaded. They
Ready.
like, let's go. Like,
Man.
Before they even get to the whip.
Ready.
That is very much like, you know, and a lot of engineers, because it's your career, they're going to try to help you do that.
Sure.
But they're most likely like, no, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and if you want some sort of like quick mix, like you got to book the time for that. Usually a 2-hour minimum. You know, an engineer is expecting that to be the time it takes to record the song. And I know, you know, you might know the song. We feel like, yo, we can get this done in an hour. But an hour isn't necessarily enough to get a good mix on your vocal. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're doing multiple joints. It's not just one take. You got, you know, takes and ad-libs and layers and doubles, and you want all that to mesh well with a 2-track MP3 beat.
Bro.
Like, you need more time to be able to
off
deliver.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Nothing above 17K, bro.
Yeah, so like these are all things where it's like, nah. I mean, so I'm just saying to
Can you
manage
take the tags out?
expectations, bro. Good sounds like you need a separate mixing. It needs to be mixed. And
Right.
when engineers, like that's what engineers are when they say they want to deliver a good product. That would be what's required. A mixing session for what we just recorded, not a bounce of what we just recorded. So I think that's just a good expectation, and then you can do whatever you want with your career. But in terms of managing expectations, like when you say, "Yeah, I'm trying to," like if that's how you're approaching it, just know that that's like already a small part of friction created between you and the engineer.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Facts.
So,
Absolutely.
Facts.
I'm definitely slicing up that portion and posting it on social media.
That's good.
Indeed,
That's
indeed.
good. I think even the point you made about the engineer automatically knows, okay, if they're trying to get all this done now, then they don't necessarily understand the whole process, or they're not as serious about it, or they're not willing to put that extra into it. Because if you like I said, if you expected me to mix it after we record it right here in this 10 minutes, like it's not gonna happen. I can give you something to listen to in the car, but if you want me to really, really mix it, you're gonna have to let me sit with it and do what I do with it, you know. So
we cutting corners somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be able to do that.
I think that just goes to the fact that like now everything is so quick, everything's so lightweight, even to the point where like the song is small as hell. It's like the times over time, like we see how quick these songs are now, and that makes me just think like, is that a hindrance as far as within that session, within that process? Like, are we building a standard of everything being so quick and fast?
I'm tearing up a little bit, man. Tearing up a little bit.
What a transition.
We see you, bruh. I won't never, ever disrespect
Yeah, my boy
you
was
ever
down.
again.
He was down 20.
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be
My boy
quiet.
was down 20. He said,
You
"Fuck it.
got it.
Give me the ball."
Period.
Hey, real quick, Midas says I blame that on some artists not knowing the difference between a basic mix and a good mix and a master. I was one of them. Shout out to Midas. She'll be through a little bit later because we're working on a special project. Rico says, big shout out Rico. He says mixing is so essential, which is facts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Extremely. So yeah, man. The song, what's the average length of a song now? What, like
215, 220.
145, 149.
Damn, not even the other side of the two.
Like, for real.
20 areas.
Like
Crazy.
we went from what songs being like 5 minutes,
Right. 316 verses.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Come on.
And that just I wonder if does
I
that
was
play a
listening to
part?
Mom playing tricks on me the other day. That's
That's what I'm saying.
That's 4 verses.
Look, when the third verse comes on, it feels so long now. Like man, we should have been out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Disco.
Yeah, right.
Going crazy.
Yo. Yeah.
So has that hurt the brand has that hurt the music, the artistry?
I
in
don't
itself?
think so, because we got to think of the attention span of today's
Ariel Rain, what up?
listeners, and who's listening to what. I think those songs are still very much alive and very much moving in a great way. I do think the, as we call them, microwave beats, like the 149s or 140, it just depends on like what you're trying to give your audience and the experience you're trying to create within that amount of time, or whatever amount of time you want to give them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that, does it hurt? I feel like whether we are doing it intentionally or not, as like a people, our music usually is like in more ways than not reflective of the times that we're in. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is not just music. This is our whole life.
Yeah.
We use the microwave more, you know, or maybe the air fryer. You know what I'm saying? But the stove is like the last option. You know what I mean? Like, this is
Slick facts.
this is how we. This is just how our, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how we live our life. Like, we will go to fast food and not cook. Like these are things.
That's y'all niggas.
That's just us. You know what I'm saying? As a people, so you know, it's hard to pin it down to just like music. And I also would say, like, I feel like it's even less trying to cater to an artist's attention spans, because there are artists still making 5-minute songs if that's what they want to say. But I think that's the point, is that I don't think artists really want to make long songs. Like, I don't think when they get in the studio they're feeling like, damn, I wish I could make this song longer. But I feel like it used to be that when you know, man, we talk about this when when Instagram started first doing videos, and they had when it got to the 1 minute mark, we was like trying to fit whole ideas into that 1 minute. We started to like tailor our music to be like where you can get a complete thought or you know, vibe in a minute. I feel like we used to think about it then, but now I feel like that's just how we like create. Like that's just our expression now.
Wow.
Yeah,
honestly, it's a sacrifice.
Also, too, when you get, I mean, we can go back to what we talked about earlier, how most of these songs are being recorded, and when it's punching, that's a long ass process. When you sitting there literally thinking of, I mean, we've all been in sessions where the artists really don't know, they just got a cool beat and don't know what they're trying to say. There's no concept, and so that's a long ass session for you to figure out what's like. By the time you get a verse, you done spent 2 hours, and then you're trying to do 2 more. Now you're trying to like, let me just
and let alone add a bridge to it.
But I think it's that. And I also think a lot of these people just don't have that much to talk about. Like, and every song doesn't have to be. Every song doesn't need to go that deep. You know, I feel like some do. Like we have balance. I don't know if we have balance, but there are people, like you said, that will, Kendrick will go if he needs to. But also Kendrick will go 1 minute and 45 seconds and get the fuck out of there. Like, like you don't have to, you know, do the most.
That's right.
All right, we got some comments. My man Corey Owens again with the 5-paragraph essay, man. Absolutely. This man is a liberal arts student. Nah,
let's go.
Big shout out Corey, man. No, all love. He says, see, that's where the social intellect comes in. Damn, you shitting on niggas. Realizing what type of artist you're dealing with and knowing when it is and isn't productive to bring your A game. I've over-engineered work for people who I later realized was taking my work and posting to compressed YouTube and SoundCloud videos and Dat Piff while under he really lived his life. He got the details. While under delivering for people who didn't know the music production and engineering languages were serious about their business foundation and covering all their bases. Big learning curve in the beginning of my career, and took too seriously people who weren't serious about themselves. That is a great point. I could boil it down to that one, that last sentence. And honestly, that's a moment that happens. I've been there. I've been there many times, right? Where you realize like, you know, I can't bring like trying to get a Grammy me to this scenario. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, yeah. And then you end up doing what Walter did, right? It was because when all of this stuff started happening, I don't know if C-Mage and Kid, if you guys remember, but there was an era where I wasn't hitting record for nobody. Where because this is what it was, you know what I'm saying? And I felt very much like all right, it's just time for me to move on from this because if this is where the game is, I'm not gonna like take my college degree back to third grade for the sake of. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? You know, especially when there are instances where you can use your college degrees. You know what I'm saying? And then you realize, like, nah, I'm just going to relegate myself for those scenarios. But, yeah, I think if you're still on that upswing part, though, there are going to be moments when you got to realize, like, damn, this is not the moment. Like, this is not the Mixed by Ali moment. You know what I'm saying? I need to just, you know, this is like the project studio moment.
Yeah, just finish the song.
You still gonna put your best foot forward,
Absolutely.
but right, you taper it. Expectations, right.
You change what you expect out of it,
That's
and what you feel allowed to do in that moment.
I used to
Absolutely.
struggle with that bad.
Yeah.
Like, I used to take so long on just songs because I used to be like, it doesn't meet my standard as far as like still trying to build my brand. And I think more importantly, it just got to a point of learning who to work with and not to work with in that aspect. But it was definitely a struggle because I approached every mix like, nah, I gotta go. Then you just realize over time, like you start losing money, you start time. You can't do
It's
that.
okay to say no to some things.
Yeah.
All money ain't good,
Right.
but you know.
I had to learn that because I used to going in just for them folks just to post. Yeah, I just dropped a new song on Facebook, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
Who is they say who engineered that stuff for you? Who engineered that
that's
stuff?
what I'm saying. It's like
Dropping on Facebook is crazy.
you get people that post amongst those
Bruh, that should be wild.
I had to learn that, bro. It was a tough thing to learn because it was tough because the amount of time I put into it, I just assume like, you know, everyone, if you're gonna spend money on this, everyone's gonna be serious and passionate about this. That was not the case. But then, like you said, all money ain't good money.
Real quick, Abel says, as a writer, I think longer songs can be interesting, but lengthening the song for the sake of a clock seems pointless. If you said what needs to be said, leave it, in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, and I don't think the length of songs is what's hurting. If anything is hurting the music, I don't think that's the issue. I think it's more of a creative and in-depth issue. Like, what are we talking about? What lives are we living? Like, I tell my the artists that I do produce, not just engineer. I tell them a lot. Like, what type of life are you living that gives you something to talk? Especially if you like, I got a lot of punch artists. If my punch artists come in, I tell them the way it works for Thug and them is they live a really fucking interesting ass life. They can go over there and just say what they did last week, and that shit be crazy. Like, and they actually, so I was like, what type of life are you living in, and how is that affecting what you're saying? I think that's the most important part. Like, are we just in our phone? Like, what are we doing day to day? Aaron James is like one of the greatest people at just living life and taking in stuff and he's one of the greatest song artists I've, because he lives a great he lives a life that allows him to produce things.
He's intentional.
Very intentional.
Yeah, he's very much
Very
like
much.
like a damn. But he's an observer.
Yeah.
It takes an observer's spirit to pull stories out of regular life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he absolutely has that.
That's right.
Real quick, I know I got somebody. Corey says the Facebook drop is diabolical. Infinity says people don't ever want to feel taken advantage of when working with each other. That's facts. Bounce God just continues to laugh. Shout out Bounce God.
Yeah, man. I think also with like you said, I don't think the length of the song determines what's being said. I do feel like being that the market has changed in the sense that we're shorter songs, it forces artists, if your brand is to talk about something, it forces you to be more efficient in how you approach this conversation, and more creative versus just outright saying it down the middle. And not every artist can do that. I feel like Kendrick is one of them artists where he's able to bounce between those worlds of being like, you know, I can tell you this long story, or I can get this story and condense it down to a minute and a half. So I think it just depends on who you are, what you want your brand to be.
But if it's engaging enough, then it really won't matter. I don't think. You know what I mean? How long it is, because your attention will be captured. I'll also say this: songs are getting shorter, but just from what I've noticed in terms of like when I be DJing for people, like when I first started DJing, it was all about like I got to get them mixes in quick. I can't let bro, I be letting songs play out, right? And people enjoy that. Like
that's because them jobs ain't
you know what I'm
saying? 2 minutes is the amount of time you would have cut the other song.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, not really, man. I be because a lot of times when I be doing gigs and like it'll be so last minute. You know what I'm saying? I'll get a bunch of music and like. One of the things, I don't know if I recommend this, but it works for me, maybe because I just practice a lot. A lot of times, I'm literally learning music as I'm playing it. And so, I be needing time to, like, when music is playing, I'm checking it out, and I don't feel like I be losing the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm picking song, it's the sequencing. But, like, what I'm saying is there still is an appreciation for enjoying music over, a length of time. You enjoying something, you're like, I want to sit in this. You know what I'm saying? There is a place for that in our brains still. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the new trick for getting off like 3 and 4 verses is the beat switch. Like
absolutely, that's what I was saying. Because any not to cut you off, any artist that's doing multiple verses, like there's absolutely a beat switch, and I think that just kind of place our attention span is so short, so we need that to say, okay, even though this is the same song, it's a little bit of twist to it, and now we can stomach that third verse or that bridge or what that other,
And that's storytelling. Look, we still go watch Marvel movies, them just be an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? Because it moves and like, a thing about like some of those like older like the hip hop joints, you know what I'm saying, from the 90s, the beats didn't change up that much either. You know what I'm saying? So like nowadays. That 4 verse is gonna feel extra long.
Yeah.
The same, loop that's been, you know what I'm saying? So like,
not even that. Them just was like a 2-bar loop.
Yup.
That's an interesting thing. I wonder, like, if we took like the top 10 hip hop songs, hip hop albums of maybe like this year, right? And you looked at the track list, right? I wonder how many songs would be on each of these albums if every beat was a different song. Right? So, like, let's look at Schoolboy Q's drop, right? Matter of fact, let me pull it up right quick. Yeah. Because I wonder, I'm not going to listen to it right now, nor am I going to come to a conclusion on this, but, like, I think, that I wonder if every beat counted as a different song, right? How... What was the name? It was Blue Lips. Blue Lips. Yeah. How many? Oh yeah, so he's got like 18 joints. So he might have 30 songs on him.
Bro, my little slight conspiracy is that like we started doing label started doing the beat switch to pay producers for multiple beats for one song.
That's absolutely. That's absolutely.
Like,
that's absolutely.
And I'm thinking,
and they all got to divide the same royalties. That's absolutely.
Bro.
That's
As a
absolutely.
producer, like, how are you approaching it? How do you feel?
I just not figured that out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know yet. I really, you know what I mean? I don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? Because the jumps be hard as fuck.
Yeah, but then I feel like a lot of these, like, let's say you did this, you did the second half of Sicko Mode, like, you still getting the second half of a Diamond song. I just feel like, the first time I seen the nigga, like,
third.
Bro, the first time I seen the nigga said I did the third beat on, that shit had me down, like, bro, that's really where we get right now. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of times niggas be so desperate. You just be happy to be a part of especially if you get a good one. Like if you get a Schoolboy or you just be happy to be a part of.
I'm just imagining the whole Kendrick Drake
the beef.
Bro, it was back to back to back. Like as a producer, bro, how are you just being able to like lock in with an artist that much and be like, all right, bro, we dropping at 3 a.m. Like the times is. I don't know, just being able to move and adjust with an artist. Cause I feel like as far as that beef, this was the most like back and forth, the quickest that I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I feel like you gotta be the type of artist.
It was just that one Kendrick return punch. That was the most like.
Dropped the video. Kendrick
I
said,
swear this man was like this. He was waiting on it. Absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of being that locked in, I feel like you either gotta have come up, you know what I'm saying, with your producer, or you just gotta be the artist that can demand that much solo attention.
Yeah,
Like,
the
you ain't
engineer.
got time to just be locked in for what, and you ain't really provide. No, you got to be Kendrick or whatever. It's got to be a clear, like, oh no, this is the best look for me.
The mastering engineer was talking about this shit. He was like, they had me like on retainer. I was sleeping in the suit. It was like they would call me at 5 a.m. with a record, and I would have to get this shit back in like 2 hours. But he had like, that shit.
So I got a question. So I guess for all the producers, so when do you say, okay, this artist has been coming in, they paying for studio time, they paying for sessions, they good, we got a good chemistry, I like what they, when do you say, okay, I don't necessarily want to, let's get off the charge you every time you come in thing, now let's work together, I'm getting some percentage of what you're doing, we just in a collaboration type thing, like what do we, when do you make that decision?
That's a great question.
Go ahead. No.
For me, it's about for one, I have to actually like the music itself, the experience of who you are as an artist. So there's that, and there could be, of course, some bias there. But yeah, I know you're consistent with the thing, because it's not just like paying is one thing, but are you willing to? Do you have the work ethic to go along with that? Because if we're gonna lock in, I'm like, all right, bro, let's forget the payments. Let's build. And I have to be able to at least believe in what we're doing enough that this will pay off, or this is worth it. But a lot of artists, they feel that they are the artist to this the one. But I feel like as an engineer, what the business or not, like moving in that way, you have to be on the same page with the artist. You actually have to like that artist and the music that you're creating. I couldn't imagine you doing that with someone that you just like, oh yeah, I'm just one engineer. Like I get it if you're trying to get shoot your shots and get your reps in. So yeah, different levels. But I know for me, it definitely be on some. I have to rock with the music. More than I have to rock with the music. I have to rock with you as a person. I have to be able to have an actual conversation with you outside of music to know if we gel that much to build that relationship that's going to allow us to push and be on the same page.
Man, I feel like there's so much stuff I learned as an intern at Unapologetic in the Dirty Sock studio, the OG days. But so much. But if I had to say one thing, particularly about this, watching Mad, bruh, this whole engineer-artist relationship is about trust. You're building trust. It's a relationship. So you're building trust with this person, and you're trying to gain his trust, or whatever, vice versa. And the main thing, I mean, we got this shit on t-shirts, and I don't want to take because I'm finna take Mad answer. But we talk about this all the time, bro. Like nigga has to have good character, bro. It's legit. Nikita got that motherfucker on right now. It's legit character over everything. And also I do have to like what your music sounds like. But it's been times where I don't like it's been times where I really don't enjoy the music, but the character is so strong that I will like, bro, let's figure this shit out, bro. Like let's really, like, I want to help you, and I want to say I'd be a producer, but I would be the best engineer I can to get your vision out and help you, bro. Like I talk about this situation all the time, man. One of the guys I work with, Puncho, I loved his music before we even started working, and then we had conversations outside of the music that we were into similar things. We like similar artists, so I knew where he was trying to go. But the moment I realized, like, nah, this is somebody that I can fuck with, was he was sitting in this chair here. He was shooting a video with him and his brother. They were shooting a video, and he was sitting in this chair. They were smoking blunts. That's what they do. He's smoking a blunt, sitting in that chair, and the ash from the blunt fell on the mouse pad, and it kind of fucked up the mouse pad a little bit. They're in the middle of the video shoot. He stopped the cameraman, walked into the bathroom, grabbed like some Clorox wipes and then some spray, came back in here and started scrubbing the shit out the mouse pad. And that was the moment. That little shit right, and he didn't think nothing of it. Nobody, he did this shit, then I was right back in the video. But that moment right there let me know, like, nah, this nigga special. Like, fuck what you rap about, fuck what you talk about. Like, you're special. That's good character, and it be little shit like that. And if you're a good engineer, that's one thing that you're always looking for. You're always looking for those type of things.
Yeah. Sure. Unique, you got an answer?
I definitely I'm sorry.
I think.
No. Repeat the question one more time.
What was the? I guess.
Essentially, like when do you like cross the threshold of like
Client.
into like, yo, let's build something together? Yeah.
I guess it'll go back to like my experience. Shit. Someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and believed in it enough to help me get to that point and further. So I definitely believe that running into not only but knowing who you're dealing with, you know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this, Unique, just for the sake of like creating a parallel that maybe you can speak towards, right?
Okay.
So you definitely charge people to sing on their projects, to
Yes, I
sing
do.
on what they do. Yeah, that's a service you provide, right? But then there are some people you didn't,
Right.
right?
Right.
Why? Like
I
me.
believed in where
Me,
we
for
could.
example.
Yeah, like I believed in where we could go, and I didn't put so much emphasis on like coming out of pocket with things because I believed in your sound. I believed in who you were as a person. I believed in your vision, and I just wanted to follow it. But I also had to break down my own like walls as well to allow myself to be led, you know, by leadership. You know what I'm saying? So.
That's love, man. Nah, I couldn't help but you know, like that's the question that's like the origin story to unapologetic. Like, you know what I'm saying? It really is. Like it's impossible for somebody to ask me that and me not to chuckle just a little bit. Because that's literally how it all happened. You know, our very first I feel like this sentiment bleeds in a lot of directions, but I'll say this, you know. At the top of 2015, Cameron Bethany was a client of mine. You know what I'm saying? He was paying me to produce, record, and mix his songs.
Shout out to Cameron.
Oh, big shout out to Cameron, always. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother. You know, and also at the time, this guy starts following me around as a student at U of M, and he becomes my assistant. Mm-hmm. But I really looked at them the same way, right? So while one is a vocalist and Kid Maestro wanted to learn, right? The main thing that you're looking for, right? And I'll go ahead and say this too, and I think Kid will agree with me on this, even though it'll sound like I'm trying to hate on him, but I'm not. Like, you have a Cameron Bethany who was like just soaked in talent for decades, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right? And then you have a Kid Maestro who's still on the way up, right? He's still figuring things out. He's still not necessarily determined his sound yet. He's not nowhere near as completed or as obvious of a talent, right? Right. But both of them end up in the beginning of Unapologetic, right? Mm-hmm. And here's why. It's because I pretty much live by that phrase, character over everything, but also this phrase, higher character, trained skill, right? Mm-hmm. What I tend to live by more so, I tell people all the time, like I am less concerned with the value of your stock and more concerned with the trajectory of your stock, right? So where was it a week ago?
Yeah.
Where was it a month ago? Now let me compare that to where you are. And if that is a steep trajectory, I will buy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I will invest. Yeah. Right? Just like a stock, just like some crypto or whatever. Just like housing, right? And that's it. It's like, when I met Kid Maestro, I wouldn't even allow him to produce anything on anything I dropped. You know what I'm saying? But the trajectory for him was insane. His character was insane. It's so rare to meet somebody as locked in as I was. People always say, man, yo, you got to sacrifice. But I wasn't even feeling like I was sacrificing. I'm obsessed with this. I didn't feel like I was missing out on the movies or going out on whatever. I didn't feel like, I wish I could be doing that, but I'm locked in. Like, nah, I wish I could be doing exactly what I'm doing, right? And Kid Maestro was the same way. Kid Maestro didn't feel like he was sacrificing anything. He wanted to be there, And I knew with that, it doesn't matter where he is right now. Let's talk about where he's going to be. You know what I'm saying? That's when I said, nah, bro, be my assistant, stick around, watch me do everything. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna get there, and I can dare say this too. He's gonna get there with or without me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the honor is mine too.
Yeah.
You meet some people where you know, oh no, this person's gonna get there regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as this guy wants to learn from me, I know in 10 years I want to be able to say, hey, this guy learned from me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for Cameron Bethany, right? Cameron Bethany is clearly much more, you know, I mean, the guy's always had the voice of an angel. You know, has always had an enchanting voice. But, you know, and Kid can attest to this, you know, when I first thought of making Unapologetics, and, you know, my first thought was like, all right, well, I don't really want to charge Cameron anymore. I just want to lock in and create a relationship, figure out what it looks like from a label perspective. But, you know, like I said, even when Cam was amazing vocally and amazing in a song, me and Kid were still like, nah, let's see how he deals with this pressure. Let's see how often he shows up on time. You know what I'm saying? Let's test his character in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I realized is like, trajectory is not just made up of skill or talent, right? It's made up of a whole bunch of parameters that don't get the same importance as skill and talent.
Yeah.
But I know how much I've been around so many amazingly talented people that went nowhere because of parameters that no one ever valued, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because of people who felt entitled, because of people who were spoiled, because of people who were victims of their vices.
Yeah.
Right? They cared too much about, you know, being in, you know, chasing after, you know, somebody for romantic reasons.
Yeah.
They were a victim of substances. They never showed up anywhere on time. They didn't, you know, they didn't value their relationships. They were assholes. You know what I'm saying? There's so many other parameters that have to be in play for you to make it in a world where there's 6 million people also extremely talented.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's to value those other parameters and see like, nah, you know, okay, yes, he's really talented, but like, what about these other things? And then when somebody measures up with those other things, that's when it's like, hey, bro, let's have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I want to co-sign what C. Mage said too. Like, a lot of times it happens where, you know, again, using the same kind of dynamics, where the talent may not be where I would be excited. But you see that trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, somebody might be only able to do 10 push-ups.
Yeah.
But yesterday they could do 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 24 hours later, now they can do 10.
All right, this nigga not going out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Come through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I find that, like, a lot of times when I'm dealing with artists, you know, who don't, they just don't understand that there's more than 1 or 2 parameters to being successful. It's not just skill or talent, right? There's so many other parameters that you have to equally invest in, unatrophy the muscle of, and build on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bit, and this is the 3rd phrase that I live by, and it's real. How you do anything is how you do everything. You know what I'm saying? The way he saw homie clean off the mouse pad, that's going to bleed into everything else. You know what I'm saying? I got my big break literally making fruit baskets for Quad Studios.
Yeah.
I ain't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know nothing about nothing. But the engineer said, hey, the way you make those fruit baskets is so detailed. That's how you got to be as an engineer, right? These things bleed into so many, you know, Mr. Miyagi was onto something, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knew what it was, you know, and like Unique said, right? It does require a Daniel-son buy-in to Mr. Miyagi. This man, Daniel-son, was like, I don't know why this man got to be doing all this stuff. But was learning how to block and sand the floor and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I remember all of that. Yeah. So, you know, those are the things to me that, like, make me cross that threshold, you know what I'm saying? It's I'll be transparent and honest and say, like, nah, sometimes you can get smitten by just outrageous talent.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes somebody can just be so talented that you're just like, oh, damn, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that'll cause you to be blind to the other trappings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other reasons this is not going to work out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Time to
Yeah.
see those
Right.
other things too.
Absolutely.
It's hard. It's foolish to just jump into something.
That's right.
Quick because it's like, oh no, it's an opportunity. Let me build with this person. Like what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't like. At least for me, like this is our life. This is my life.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You just give your life put your life in the hands of people you don't really know.
That's right.
So yeah, I agree with all of this. You know, and as I would, you know, grow in my journey, I would just find little different ways. It would be individual.
Damn. I was trying to let it go.
I would find different ways to figure that out of people. Like I remember with Awful when we first started doing the Weird Maestro Summer job. One of my like tests was like, hey bro, I'm not about to be the only one spending all time on this. So if I'm mixing, you got to be here with me. And he didn't bat an eye. He didn't bat an eye. You know what I'm saying? That's not something I would do. Everybody.
Kid Maestro put off him through the ringer, bro. He wasn't playing.
You know, it would just be little stuff like, are you gonna? How are you investing in yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
That's real.
I mean? Like,
That's real.
you know, I bought a push. I got all this. I'm learning these skills. Like, what are you? As an artist, what are you doing to invest? Are you just depending on the song and then, you know, whatever? Like, I feel like Pro is a great example of that. Like. He's always doing some random thing to push his own, you know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all are not paying attention, the way this man is, like, forcing, you know what I'm saying, listenership up on the song that we made together, like, those little things, like, matter when you pay attention. Like, how are you treating yourself? That's the energy you're going to bring into,
That's right.
like, our partnership. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. And that's on top of, like, everything that was already said, man. It's all about character, bro. And you need time to see character.
Yeah, nothing tells the truth like time.
Bro.
That's right.
I be looking at talent and I be like, bro, make me not fuck with you, because I don't be having the time to really like lock in. I be like, bro, just show me. And when that shit don't happen, and when that shit, I'm like, all right, let me go to the next.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of times artists be wanting to lock in with you, but can't survive that time period of like, why are we not locking in? You know what I'm saying?
That's a big test, right?
Yeah, exactly. Also, I don't know. It's just a lot of entitlement. If you want to lock in with somebody, why it always got to be the producer to be the one to
DM me that shit?
Yeah. Why got to be the producer to make the proposal?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
yeah.
it. Like if am I something you value, or like do you feel like
the producer is like the man, and they courting like that?
It's weird. Exactly. Like, you wait on me to marry you.
I'm gonna propose.
Exactly, bro. Like,
Right.
Can I produce you? You take my hand in production.
I've had a situation like that to the point where like this man legit made a video, went live and was crying, talking shit about me because, bro, legit, like, it's a long story, but my point is, bro, it's crazy. It was crazy.
The finale.
It was crazy. No, but my main thing with that is just more so like, don't wait, bro. Don't be afraid to hit up the producer or engineer if you're interested of, you know, what they got going on. If you feel y'all can build, like, it's what we waiting for. Like, it's just a simple, yo, you know, introduce yourself. Like, but the way people move out here, man, it will make an engineer or producer like, nah, I'm cool. Like, how you value yourself, how you move yourself, how you invest in what you're doing. Again, you can't be afraid about that. And in that process, I just want to speak on us celebrating, not being afraid.
Yeah, I seen you. I peeped
You know?
I peeped you, bro. And I appreciate it. But it was a great segment. But I just feel like what you said was just really important, and I just want to
That man
comment
said,
on it.
"Fuck
But
this segment."
It was a setup for him, but he was like, nah.
I just
Bruh.
want to touch on something that you said. I just think it's
Damn.
when you. Bro, and man, you feel me on this.
Oh no! Y'all are freaking hilarious. Come on.
It was good,
Stop always thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm definitely,
Bruh, if I wanted to build with an artist, right? Like, there's clearly something I see that I can benefit from working with them, right? And so if I approach them, why would they want to work with me? Why would they want to build with me? What am I bringing to the table that is equally as valuable to help them.
Right.
And so when you approach people, like if I was an artist approaching a producer, yo, I want to lock in. What are your reasonings? Just because you need somebody, because you don't want to pay no more. You're like, what? Like, what's the really I'm just saying, really examine the strategy that you like genuinely have into wanting to build, or why you feel frustrated that producers aren't building with you. Like, you have to be able to like show the value bring, paint the picture of like, yo, this is the plan that I see we can do. You know what I'm saying? This is how you grow. This is how I grow. What do you think? You know? I just feel like that consideration, that thought into what somebody else other than yourself might want out of this thing, you know, just isn't really considered. So I just want to bring
what's your why? What is your why?
Yeah, like,
Well, I think it is a little bit of what your why, because I think at some point the producer has to buy into that and has to see themselves in your why. But I think it's really just like an objective look at like, you know, I mean, he said it's entitlement, but I think on the inverse of it is just like, how have you made yourself valuable, right?
Yeah.
And like, and it's just being able to say like, all right, and I mean, it's just like me, for example. Like if I were to walk up to like, you know, any famous person or any artist that I wanted to work with, I would be forced to reckon with, who am I to entice this person, right? Like, have I built myself up in enough valuable way, right? And in enough way to where messing with me is an equal opportunity, or at least some kind of opportunity, even if it's not equal, right? Yeah. But there is still like a clear consideration that I am bringing an opportunity outside of my own, like, belief in myself. That's right. That's like something that is quantifiably valuable. Yeah. Right? Like someone's ability to do that, I think is the root of that. And I think someone's inability to do that, if I'm being real, it usually comes at the hands of like an overinvestment in like your inherent value. Meaning like, yes, all of us are inherently valuable, right? But not necessarily inherently valuable in the marketplace. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like this can be worth $1 million to me. That does not mean I can go and sell it for $1 million out on the street. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. Now, I can go and work my ass off for years and do some crazy shit, dip this in gold, and then maybe I can go and sell it for $500,000 or $1 million. You know what I'm saying? But I can't just make it worth $1 million because I feel like it's worth $1 million, you know. And so what are you willing to do so that the things you touch or offer are worth $1 million, right? And that usually requires some level of building of your own, like, you know, esteem or integrity or just marketplace value. You know what I'm saying? It is an inability to see that divide, right? Your mama told you was cute. That does not mean every girl thinks you cute. You know what I'm saying? Right? And you shouldn't be mad at them girls who don't think you cute. Just because your mama got you out here believing you cute to everybody. Your mama's supposed to tell you that.
That's right.
And again, that's fine. And I'm glad you made the nuanced point of like, maybe it's not equal value. Yeah. But it's like, I just believe that like your primary, if you want to enter a relationship with somebody, like your primary focus should be, how do I make this person's life better? Right. And vice versa, it should be the opposite, and that's what makes it work. But if you approach with your priority being what you can get out of it, I feel like it's just like, yo, take a pause and re-examine like why you are, you know, before you approach, like, just switch that mindset up. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
I think that's good in just life in general, having that mindset as to, a lot of times we go into situations like, what can I get, or what, you know, how can they help me get on, or they own, I need to get on with them. Like somebody told me, if you go into situations, just sometimes say, just how can I help you? That drops the barrier. Like it's all, we're working together, because how can I help you get get to where I'm, you know, going, or how let's figure out how we can help each other versus like say just coming in, I need to get what you got. Like what are you bringing for sure?
Said perfectly, bro. Said perfectly, man.
All right, now it's a rewind to your segue, which is great. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to approach that producer and propose. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just want to let y'all know the Unafraid Party. So for those of you who don't know, last year I took a creative sabbatical, and I was like, yo, man, I've been wanting to be an artist, and it's been a long time coming. I'm going to take time off. I'm not going to do nothing else. I'm just going to write an album, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, I prepared like all that, you know, the month before that. And I was like writing down my thoughts after every conversation, really trying to show up emotionally, like open and ready to put, you know, my real vulnerable self into music, right? And I feel like I did that. Like I made some things I was really like proud of. It's just music that had like a level of depth that I hadn't previously reached personally on my own. I was very happy about that, and I had momentum. And then as the year progressed and months went by, like not only was I not making a bunch of music, but I just let that momentum die for one reason or another. Something else became a priority. You know, it was always like some excuse. And at this point in my life, I do be having excuses, but more often than not, my excuses to most people be very valid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just like a complete waste of time. Mm-hmm. It's about a prioritization, you know, a prioritization mm-hmm. issue. Like, what am I valuing? And I had to ask myself, why was I valuing so many other things so consistently over the thing I said I wanted to do for years, right? And at the end of that year, when I didn't have anything to really show for it, I had to be honest with myself and ask why. And the umbrella conclusion I came to was that I was just moving out of fear. I was letting fear creep into my decision making, mm-hmm. and you know, over time, that culminated to a lack of progress and stagnation. And you know, I was able to recognize that pattern, you know, in previous years. And so once I held myself accountable and named that demon, I was like, yo, I gotta work on this, or I'm gonna forever be the same. And so I wanted to practice doing the things that, you know, I was afraid of. And so my idea was that, okay, I need to practice being an artist. There are things about this that I'm afraid of, and so I'm gonna drop music every single week as my way of practice. And so I've been dropping beat tapes every Monday since the beginning of the year. And we're coming up on the 52nd volume, which will release on December 30th.
That's insane. Clap it up.
And so I want to celebrate in that energy of being unafraid. So the Unafraid Party, December 30th, that's a Monday at 7 p.m. at Bevo, 101 Island Drive. I would like for all of you guys to be there. It's pay what you want, so there shouldn't be, you know, any financial barriers. I just want to celebrate with y'all and this team and that accomplishment, as well as the accomplishments that we as Unapologetic have been able to make this year. And I would love to see y'all out there and set off the year right, 2025, going in unafraid, and take that momentum, take that energy, and enjoy each other's company and get our dreams out.
Hey, really, really brief, man. Tell them what Bebo is, just so that you give them another reason they got to
Yeah, this is the craziest venue I've ever seen
it is
in
a
my
crazy
life.
venue, if you could even really call it that.
It's true.
Okay, so Bevo is so there is a savant in Memphis. His name is Chris Reyes. He also goes by
Shout
Ninja
out,
Cat.
Chris.
He is a musician and world builder, storyteller. Like he's
a genius.
Yeah, he's a genius, but he's also a genius that took advantage of the fact that he had a knack for anything and built skills and upgraded himself. Like, you know what I'm saying? He recognized his inherent value and upgraded it to marketplace value, right? Mm-hmm. And that landed him a deal that got him an entire abandoned museum in Mud Island, right? And he's transforming it into a mix between a giant adult playground, Universal Studios, and interactive museum that follows the story of an interdimensional time traveler.
It's crazy.
It's going to be crazy. And the Unafraid Party is happening in a small part. But when you walk in there, you're gonna be like, "Damn, this is the small part."
Yes.
It's crazy. It's a venue it haven't been used before on Mud Island. It is very hard to describe, and you won't recognize it when you walk up. You just got to come to the parking lot, walk in. We'll make a video on where you walk, and when you walk in, it's gonna be crazy. And yeah, that's all I can really describe. It is wild. We got Nikita producing the vibes. It's our vibe producer. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna have
that
some
what she do?
That's all I was gonna say.
Period.
We don't really know. You know what I'm saying? We ain't never known.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? This is, and now we making it known why Nikita's here. After all these years,
Why she's important.
you know what I'm saying? Like, C-Maj's working on the lights. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole, we going in on this, and I'm working on a performance, which is also something like, I'm like, this is my unafraid, like, final boss, John. I'm gonna perform and, you know, do some things I haven't done before. So yeah, I'm excited. Come out, let's have a good time. December 30th, 7 p.m., 101 Island Drive. Pay what you want. See y'all there.
Let's go.
Yo, I just want to say, yeah, definitely come up or pull up to the Unafraid party. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be, I think, our very first like end of the year show party ever.
Yeah.
We've never done this before. So it's gonna be epic, one way or another. Big shout out Chris Reyes and everybody down at Bevo. Big shout out to Catherine Hicks, another genius.
And she's strong as fuck.
Yeah.
You just found this out. She's fucking strong as hell.
Yeah, I have to close this episode out by just thanking my G Walter, aka Ish Music, for pulling
Let's
up, man.
go.
Yeah. Nah, man. Like, you know, like it is very clear to me how potent this city is, right? In terms of creating great creatives, and then just people that you admire, some that you look up to, you know, and people that you're just happy to run into, right? You know, I've told that to Boo Mitchell at least, you know, 80,000 times. You know, I'm just happy to be invited into the same spaces he be at. You know what I'm saying? I feel honored. You know, and man, you know what I'm saying? Just like from a distance on social media, like watching what you've been doing, man, watching your growth, the things that you're involving yourself with, the way you're expanding. And then, you know, like I asked you earlier, man, just the legacy and the story of how you got here. I love a great story, man. And I also feel like stories make purpose and alignment clear.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Absolutely.
so like your story is evidence that like, I don't know, you're supposed to be here doing this, providing this value, and you're going to be taken care of, right? God is going to look after you. God is going to make sure you got what you need to do what you need to do as long as your purpose is fulfilled.
Yes, sir.
And you find that alignment. And I just want to let you know from across the street, you know, in another part of Midtown, another guy with a studio who finds himself aligned in his purpose. I see you. I love you, and I respect what you're doing, man. I'm a big fan, man. And any way I can help, any way Unapologetic can help, any way we can continue to collaborate and find ourselves in similar spaces, man, I'm all in, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have to say,
Yeah.
ditto, everything you just said. Like, I've observed you, watched, you know, I modeled some of the things I've done behind what you're doing and everything, and just being, like I said, just the character thing. Like, that's the thing that's most important, and being able to see how you have this, you've built this community, and you have people that are on your team and riding with you, and it's not just like a I thing. It's like everybody's included and everybody has their purpose and value. And so just being able to express that like you are, people see that. They might not always recognize it or say it, but like people see that, and it's needed, it's respected, it's appreciated. So kudos to you for sure, bro.
Bro, we gotta take that part off when we post it. But nah, man, thank you, bro. That means a lot to me, man. You know, I think it always feels good to be seen. You know what I'm saying? It says the guy in a mask. That makes sense. Anyway, yeah, this has been another episode of Type Beat, live from outer space and Unapologetic Studio. My name is I Make Mad Beats, and today my cast was
LJ1S. What up?
C Major.
Unique, period.
Ish Music.
Kid Maestro.
Yeah, we got Nikita over on the side. We're not sure what she's doing, but
Yeah, I don't know what she
If she in this whole handling business.
She ain't got no shoes.
so you know now.
You know now. You know what
But I'm saying you never know the role.
You know she doing
Another role, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the last episode of the season, of the year. Thank y'all for tuning in. However many times you tuned in on 2024. Man, 2025 is crazy. We're days away from that. That's insane.
Yeah.
But we're ready. I know you're ready. Let's get it. Let's go. Yeah, and next time we see you, I'll be writing the wrong year on whenever I write the date down. So, yeah. So, yeah. Until then, man, you know what I'm saying? Stay dangerous, stay safe, do both or do neither. Peace.
Bitch, are you jealous?
Oh shit, here we go again.